welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, continuing my 2016 season recaps and 2017 previews. And today we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is a team that I had going 4-12 before the season, but they surpassed my expectations, but maybe not yours, as they went 7-9. And one of the things that I really was concerned about was this team's wide receivers and cornerbacks, and what proved to be this team's weakness was their wide receivers and cornerbacks. But they were able to defeat that weakness by doing a good job in terms of game planning and winning games at home. I mean, you must have been impressed by this team's ability to win crucial games at home, to suck people into Philadelphia and to upset them. They did it time and time again with teams like the Vikings, Falcons, Giants, Cowboys, and they won a lot of games at home. And for me, the first key game from this season was a great home victory, Week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, as this team whooped the Pittsburgh Steelers 34-3. A fantastic game by the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they were just good in all facets of the game, offensively, defensively, and special teams, all dominant. And after this start, I know a lot of Eagles fans were thinking Super Bowl, at least thinking playoffs, but that proved to not be the case, as they lost 2 straight games after that. And, the first game being a very close one in Detroit, they couldn't get it done. Carson Wentz threw a game-ending interception, trying to make a play. I'm not going to blame him too much for that. And then you get a huge win against the Minnesota Vikings after that, but then 2 more losses after that. And to me, that is where the next key game took place. You're talking about going to Dallas, at Dallas. You lose 29-23. At this point, the division was still very much up for grabs. If you can get a big win in Dallas, perhaps this Eagles season goes down a much better path, but obviously it didn't, as you blew a huge lead in this game. Not a huge lead, but a sizable lead to Dak Prescott and company. For me, the next key game was the last 2 games of the season, actually. Okay, as you beat the New York Giants and you beat the Dallas Cowboys, it was nice to see, even though the Cowboys were resting their starters, even though the Giants didn't have much to play for in their Week 17 matchup, you got 2 more home games, divisional matchups that you needed and wanted, and it gave a nice end to the season. Okay, instead of going 5-11 to end the season, you went 7-9, and that's just much better in terms of your feelings for the future. Let's look at the positional breakdowns for this football team, and let's start at the quarterback position of this football team. So Carson Wentz. Now, before the season, before the draft, I felt that Carson Wentz was going to be, first of all, a franchise quarterback at the next level, but not a very good one. I thought it was going to be in that Joe Flacco range. Now, after his rookie season, that's where he is. So that does tell you that I knew sort of what I was talking about there, but at the same time, he has a lot of potential to grow past this. And I saw a lot of upside this year from Carson Wentz. I've seen a lot of people critical of his rookie campaign, and he certainly had some poor moments. His accuracy can, go away from time to time, hitting some wide receivers a little too high and things like that. But I was really impressed with his preparation, with his game planning, with his ability to walk up to the line of scrimmage, change things that need to be changed, and ultimately do a good job at the pre-snap things that I really thought he may take a while to learn. He was fantastic at it, and that really, to me, shows that in the future, this is a guy that if he can just improve his accuracy and whatnot, you're talking about a lot of upside with Carson Wentz, because he's going to put in that Peyton Manning style of work and preparation, which you need to be successful at this NFL level. So I really like Carson Wentz moving forward. We look at the running backs, and not very good at all. I like Darren Sproles in the backup role. He's fine, but Ryan Matthews, man, he's just not a starter anymore in the NFL. And honestly, I don't even want him as a backup. Maybe as a backup to like a very good running back like an Ezekiel Elliott or a David Johnson, but I mean, even for some teams, I don't think he'd be a good backup. I don't think he's a good number 2 for a lot of teams. This is a guy that I think you just need to move on from, and you can. I think he's scheduled to get, I want to say, $5 million this year under the cap, and you could just release him, and you'll only have $1 million of dead cap room. That is what I would look to do. Wendell Smallwood, the rookie out of, I want to say, West Virginia, correct me if I'm wrong. He's a guy that I liked this year. I liked some bursts that I saw from him. I liked what he did in the receiving game. And the way Doug Peterson uses these running backs, they're very active in the receiving game. A lot of halfback screens, for better or worse. Sometimes they really don't work out, but a lot of halfback screens and a lot of things like that, getting the running backs involved in the receiving game. And Wendell Smallwood really found success with that, as did Darren Sproles. That's what he's been doing his entire career. We look at the wide receivers, and they're bad. Okay, Jordan Matthews, he's all right. Dorial Green-Beckham, this is a guy that I know very well. I'm a Titans fan, but he still has his drops, he still has his issues, and he's still learning the playbook. I think he's fine as a number 4, maybe number 3 wide receiver, but the problem is Nelson Agholor stinks. One of the highest drop percentages in the NFL, dropping crucial passes throughout the year. The guy's not very good at all. All he has to his regimen is skill and just, not even skill, speed, okay? He needs to develop his skill. He needs to develop his route running. He needs to develop more nuances to his game. And then outside of these 3, there's nothing. Trey Burton and some other clowns. Josh Huff was there, but ended up getting released. Just nothing beyond these 3. And when you just have these 3 and nothing else, man, your wide receiving core stinks. And they need to improve this position, and I'm sure they know that. The tight end position was good. Zach Ertz, a great year from him when healthy. Now, he needed to be healthy more, and hopefully in the future he is. But if he is, he'll be a nice, consistent weapon for this Philadelphia Eagles team and for Carson Wentz. We look at the offensive line. Jason Peters. I thought it was a nice bounce back year for Jason Peters. Last year, he showed some signs of decline. This year, he was back on point. We looked at some other positions on the offensive line. How about Lane Johnson at right tackle? Now, he was suspended for 10 games because of a PED thing, okay, which is all on him. That's just disastrous. When he's in there, man, that guy's good. One of the best right tackles in the league. And I want to say their record with Lane Johnson may have been 5-1. Okay, so that shows you something. Look at the other positions on the offensive line. Brandon Brooks at right guard did a good job. Jason Kelsey at center, always good. And Alan Barber, also Steven Wisniewski, they were actually pretty good as well. Isaac Seumalo, not great, but he's still a rookie. He can improve. So this offensive line, I like their play for Carson Wentz this year. I thought they did a good job for Carson Wentz and the run game. Okay, I like the offensive line. In terms of an offensive MVP, although I did like the play of Carson Wentz and I was encouraged by his play, to me, the MVP has to be Jason Peters. Okay, still locking down that left tackle position. He was the most consistent on this Eagles offense, and to me, he's the offense MVP. We look at the defense. Okay, let's start with the defensive linemen. Let's start inside with Fletcher Cox, who continues to be absolutely fantastic at the defensive tackle position for this Eagles team. Next to him, Bennie Logan, who's an upcoming free agent. And I thought it was a little bit of a down year for him, which is very surprising. In a contract year, usually guys, NFL players, they step up, they play their best football. I don't think this was the case with Bennie Logan. He's still very good against the run, but he usually makes a better impact against the pass, and I didn't really see it this year as much as I wanted to see it. You look at some outside linebackers for this team. So we have Connor Barwin and we have Brandon Graham. Now, these two, Barwin in the past has had some higher sack totals, but I want to say maybe only 1 or 2 years. And then Brandon Graham never has high sack totals. And that was their move again. Not high sack totals from these guys. And I understand it's all about pressure. People want to make that argument. And sure, that argument can be made. But to me, sacks matter. If you can get a sack, okay, on 1st and 10 and get the down to 2nd and, 20, or maybe 2nd and 22, maybe even 2nd and 18, that has a tangible effect than just, I got pressure and now it's 2nd and 10. One of those is probably going to kill the drive. One of them just could cause maybe a turnover, but is more likely to pretty much do almost nothing. Okay, so to me, sacks matter, and I need to see higher sack totals. They kill drives. Sacks kill drives, and that's why you see the teams with the higher sack totals usually have more wins, and their defenses usually allow less points. We look at the linebackers for this football team, and let's look at the inside linebacker, Jordan Hicks, who, this guy's fantastic. This guy is absolutely incredible. His 2nd year now. He used to be out of Texas, I want to say, or he's still out of Texas. And there's a guy that just played great this year, man. Tremendous in pass coverage, in run defense, pretty good there as well. Really like Jordan Hicks. Look at Nigel Bradham. okay, who you signed from the Buffalo Bills either this year or last year. Jim Schwartz knows him well, and he continues to play well under Jim Schwartz. We look at Michael Kendricks. Still a very good linebacker at the NFL level. We look at the secondary. Now, the cornerbacks, bad. Okay, Nolan Carroll, I was disappointed with him. I thought he was going to prove to be this team's best corner. That did not prove to be true. Disappointed by Nolan Carroll. Leotis McKelvin, not a total disaster, but he had his disastrous moments. We look at Jalen Mills. Now, he's a rookie. I want to say 7th round out of LSU, a guy that actually played safety at LSU, played more cornerback here for this football team. And he played okay in spurts, even good in spurts. But in spurts, he also had his moments where he was just pretty bad as well. So he's a guy that I want to hold on to. Let's see if he can develop, but not great play from him. Ron Brooks, very mediocre and just, teetering near pretty bad. So the cornerbacks here are pretty bad overall for this Eagles football team. Safeties, Malcolm Jenkins continues to be fantastic, and I really love the signing of Rodney McLeod at free safety. He had, to me, a very good year. So, who is the clown of the year for this Eagles team? Has to be Nelson Agholor. I mean, this guy is, what a clown. Again, one of the higher drop rates in the NFL, dropping passing touchdowns from Carson Wentz, your rookie quarterback. Dude, step up and make a play. He can't do it. He's a clown of the year. And a defense MVP, let's give it to two guys, in Jordan Hicks and Fletcher Cox. They can share the award because I was very impressed with them both. Let's look at the draft class for this Eagles team and the grades that I gave them. I gave the Carson Wentz pick an A-, and I think it's proven to be an A-. Okay, looking back, there's only one guy that you can say you should have taken, and that might be Dak Prescott. Outside of that, this was pretty much a perfect pick for this football team. We look at the 3rd round pick of Isaac Seumalo. I gave that pick a C+, and I think it's been a C+. Okay, he hasn't been great. Wendell Smallwood, I gave that pick an A-. I think he's been an A-. So I think my grades for this draft class were absolutely fantastic. I gave this whole draft class a B. I think it's been a B. The problem was when you traded for Carson Wentz, you lost a lot of draft picks, but still, you found some nice sleepers there, and even a guy in Jalen Mills, who you took in the 7th round, I gave that pick an A, and he's on the team, and he made an impact, so that's an A pick for the 7th round. My draft grades were on point for this football team. Now let's look ahead to 2017. Okay, 2016 is gone. Let's look at 2017. And there are some issues with this upcoming offseason. So, first of all, cap room. Not a lot of it. Only $12 million in cap room for the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming offseason. That is troublesome. I tried to see what they could do to increase this amount, and there's not much. You look at the running back position, again, I expect them to either cut Ryan Matthews or Darren Sproles. If I had to guess, probably Ryan Matthews. That will release about $4 to $5 million. Outside of that, there's not much they can do unless if they're going to cut Connor Barwin. That would, I want to say, give $6 to $7 million of more space. Would it be worth it? I'm not sure. I might not do that. Even though, yes, I'm very critical of Barwin and Graham getting more sack totals, but they're still pretty good. Okay, so to me, I wouldn't do that, and you're pretty much looking at how much cap room this team's going to have. They're going to cut Ryan Matthews, I think. So, I mean, perhaps this number is going to go to 16, 17 million, but that's still not a lot of room. And with your upcoming free agents, it won't hurt too much. Okay, Bennie Logan, if you could move on from him, okay? And I wouldn't have a huge problem with it because you do have 8 draft picks, and you can probably draft a new defensive tackle, let's say in the 3rd round, but it's a little bit of a dangerous path. We look at so I might resign him to a cheaper deal. It cannot be worth more than $6 million per year, though. I mean, if it's more than that, you got to let him walk. If it's less than that, we can re-sign him. Nolan Carroll, let him go. He's just not worth re-signing right now. And Stephen Tulloch, he's not very good. Let him go. So the good thing is there's not many key free agents, okay? But the problem is not much cap room either. So the team needs for this football team, look at wide receiver, cornerback, running back, huge needs. I mean, all 3 of them, huge needs. You need a number 1 wide receiver, you need a number 1 cornerback, and you need a number 1 running back. And with limited cap space, all of this is probably going to have to come through the draft. If you let go of Bennie Logan, guess what? You need a new defensive tackle, and I think you could use some depth in other areas as well. I would say, possibly even if you get a new wide receiver in there, you can still use some depth, right? Because Nelson Agholor, I don't think I want him on the field. I mean, honestly, because he just, even as a fourth wide receiver, why have a fourth wide receiver that's going to come in and drop the football? Let's just go sign a lower end guy that at least going to give me consistent catches. So maybe even some more depth there, some more cornerback depth, even after you add a number one corner, maybe some linebacker depth, maybe some defensive tackle and defensive end depth. So to me, some depth could be needed all over this football team. So some potential free agent acquisitions. Now, it's very tough, very, very tough because, again, there's so much limited cap room here. So I went with some lower end guys. Okay, wide receiver. I could see them making a run for DeSean Jackson, and I don't think he'd sign for too much. I highly doubt he may give like a little bit of a discount, and he may go $7 million, maybe $6 million per year. Okay, so I can see that happening. Outside of that, how about Robert Woods? How about Kendall Wright? And I know those names don't really excite you. They don't excite me, but again, cap space is limited. We look at cornerbacks, and some cheaper names here: Kirkpatrick, Captain Munnerlyn, Terrence Newman, and then maybe a Logan Ryan, but those are going to be tough sells. Running backs, Jamaal Charles. This could be interesting, okay? I think he'd sign for a 1-year prove-it deal, maybe like $5 million, because this is a guy that's coming off of a lot of injuries, and he may want to sign for a lower end deal. I think that's very possible. Also, some other running backs, Eddie Lacy, but I don't think it's a great fit. Again, Doug Peterson is a guy that loves to use running back screens and a lot of running backs in the receiving game, so I'm not sure Eddie Lacy would be a great fit for this football team. You look at some other potential running backs. I've heard Adrian Peterson's name out there, but again, not sure he's a great fit right now. Latavius Murray, again, not sure he's a great fit. So I think they'll seek to upgrade running back in the draft, and that's where I would go as well. We look at some potential draft picks. Okay, so for the first round, how about a bunch of wide receivers? Okay, and Mike Williams, John Ross, and Corey Davis. And all of them, I'm not sure are going to be available. I think at least one of them will. Okay, and if I had to guess, probably John Ross right now. So one of these guys will be available, probably take one. If you don't go there, you're probably going to go corner. Okay, how about Marshon, Lattimore, Marlon, Humphrey, Quincy Wilson, Ortiz, Tabor with your first round pick? If you don't go there, then you're going to go running back. How about Dalvin Cook? And if he somehow falls, Leonard Fournette, another possibility there. For the second round, how about wide receivers D.D. Westbrook, Cooper Kupp? Both should be available by the time you guys pick, maybe even Juju Smith-Schuster, but I highly doubt you guys would be willing to take another wide receiver out of USC, but let's include his name anyway. Running backs, Dante Foreman, Jeremy McNichols, and Alvin Kamara. I really like the Alvin Kamara fit if they took him in the second round. Some would argue it'd be a reach. I think it'd be a great fit for this Eagles offense. How about some cornerbacks in Desmond King and Jordan Lewis? Also, Dory Jackson, also possible. And if you guys seek to upgrade the defensive tackle position, if you guys let go of Bennie Logan, how about Lowell Lotulelei and Carlos Watkins? So there you go. Those are some potential draft picks for the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a team that a lot of people will be picking to improve next year, possibly a playoff team. But this offseason will be tough. There's a lot of work to do for Harry Roseman in terms of manipulating the cap space, finding some players to come in here. It's not going to be an easy retool, but I think they can do it. Okay, I think there's an Eagles team that there are certainly a lot of things they could do here if they can just make the right moves, make the right picks. There's an Eagles team that could be on the rise in 2017. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles 2016 season and my preview for the 2017 off season. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.